Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another edition there. All right. Welcome, Gene Hudson and Brian Barber. How's everybody doing? Actually, Amy and everybody, I figured out why, what was going on in the studio, Liana. I did find the mouse. It was strange. And Standing Stones, I talked to somebody, and they think the reason why I was having the activity in the studio, Val and Roger, is that I was playing with my crystal bow, my singing bow that I haven't been using for a while. And I think the frequency was disturbing some energy in the studio. But anyways, I kept turning off my lights. But I have a guest tonight while Justin's getting set up. We have Amanda. Welcome, Amanda. She's from Florida. How are you doing?
Having me.
All right. As Justin starts to come in here, let's do the Hollywood squares here. He just faded out. So introduce yourself.
You just did. I'm Amanda from Florida. I've had some really strange experiences that I was very fortunate to have.
What kind of experiences?
I've ran across the Bigfoot family.
Oh, that's very interesting. So I have not have any information about any of this. So can you walk us through that?
Oh, okay. You haven't been briefed on anything.
No, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. Um. Well, I'm handicapped, and that's what surprises me the most because most time people have sightings when they're out hiking and doing stuff. They don't have them come up to their backyard and just introduce themselves. Um, and growing up, I pretty much lived in the woods. You would think that I would have had some type of experience back then,
Right.
and so until about let's see, about 4 years ago, I I didn't believe. I didn't even really give it no thought. It wasn't that I didn't believe or believe. I just didn't really give it any thought at all. And one day I was sitting by my kitchen table and I looked out and I had a little pup and she was standing by my grill and she sat down and was looking over this way and looking over at me. And the kitty cats were kind of just walking around her going meow meow. And I'm like, what are you? And I looked over and there was, I would say a juvenile Sasquatch sitting right
Oh,
there by
wow.
my back porch. And at first I called Dave's Chili. Dave's Chili, um, he owns a Skunk Ape headquarters down off of in Oshopee.
Right.
And I called him and I asked him, does he think that maybe it was a orphan or something, or because I from Bigfoot stories I've ever heard, I thought it was a myth. But anything I did ever hear, they were a lot like us, and they didn't let their children go off too far. And he's like, well, I don't know. He says I've been looking for them for years, and they're always 10 steps ahead of me. And later on, I found out that that was not the case. There's definitely, I've seen four of them. Um,
Wow.
I seen I seen a baby. She was probably 4 or 5 years old, and she was red. I seen her from a distance. But what I could tell about her is that she had nodules. Like she was um, pre-pubescent, I guess you would say. Um, I was thinking maybe she was around 5 years old because of her height and like the way she was built, but that kind of threw me off. But who knows? Maybe they, mature faster than us. I don't know. I don't know much about them whenever it comes to that stuff. Um, and one day I was standing in the kitchen and I was seeing one that was probably at least 10 foot tall peeping at me. And by that time, I just got used to him around and I just winked at him and smiled. And he ran off.
So when you first saw this creature, what went through your mind? I mean, your reality had to change, right? Because I mean, like you said, it's a myth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really glad to be talking to y'all because y'all have the paranormal station, that it's all about paranormal. And ever since I was like 2 years old, I've been able to see things. Um, and here on this property where we live, everybody here has had some sort of experience. Like we've just sat around and talked about it, and maybe there's a portal open here or something. We don't know. I mean, we're just taking wild guesses. Um, so it didn't shock me too bad. Um, but I don't drink, right? And my husband, he worked at the Yuengling Brewery. He don't get no more, but at the time, and he brought me home some chocolate beers, and I just kind of gasped and sat back and like took a deep breath and like, yeah, I'm gonna need a beer after this one. So I went to the fridge and grabbed me a beer, and I sat right there, and we kind of just read each other, just studied each other, and for a good 30 minutes. And I made it to the third beer before he left. And you know how whenever y'all have children,
Yes.
Yes.
you know how whenever you wink at a child and they kind of blink like that,
Right.
like you're teaching them, that's what he did. Like I just winked at him and he just blinked like that. And I'm goofy, and I did get him laughing one time. Because I was fidgety. I was fidgeting in my chair and bringing my feet up and feet down and just like, yeah, I was wild. I was very wild. I wasn't scared. And even with the 10-foot one, I wasn't scared. I just feel like if you had any reason to be scared, he would have already done something. You know, they're big. They're big enough that they can open up a trailer like a tin can.
Yeah, they're very strong.
Yep,
Absolutely.
bigger and stronger. And I see a lot of people talk about a weird feeling that they get whenever they're around them. And I've explained it to a couple of people. What that is we're used to being the apex predator, and you have another apex predator in the area, and that's your instinct picking up on it. That I do notice because whenever they're around, I can feel them. Like I know they're there. And I had one other kid that was staying with me. Um, he was 17 and friends with friends, and I was letting him sleep on the couch and go to work and stuff. And he had the same experience. Like um, he just noticed whenever they're around, he could feel it. And it's very strange, but that's what it is. We're no longer the apex predator. They're bigger and badder than us. And I do get sightings of them here and there. They're nocturnal. They have the black eye. Um, because people talk about the ones out west that they have eyes more like ours and the hooded nose like ours, and these had flat nose and black eyes. They're more ape looking, but they are bipeds. Very big.
So, they have more of a gorilla look face, is what you're saying? They're more ape like and less human like, right?
Yes. Well, if you took and crossed like a gorilla and a chimp and a human, that's what you get is one of
Mm-hmm.
them. Which also blows my mind because I love apes. I've always loved apes.
So, and guys, where she's at, that tends to be more of the description. That's a normal kind of a description, right? We've talked about different varieties, different regions, different areas. And did you mention where you were at yet at all, Amanda? I wasn't sure what you wanted to do with that.
Yeah.
Mid Florida.
And
That's
Amanda,
Okay.
that's all I'll say is
Amanda,
Mid Florida.
we cannot smoke on the show. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. They restrict me on stuff like that. I apologize about
Oh,
that.
no.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
So,
I just don't know.
being in Florida, obviously we're looking at skunk ape territory, and they tend to be, as we know from like the Mayaka River photos and stuff. That's not quite where you're at, but it's
Yeah,
still in
that's
the
more
area.
south.
Right. That's more the area where I'm at right now. But they tend to have more primate look to them, as opposed to Patty or some of the other ones that are said to be more human in features. And so that's kind of what we would expect. Now, how long have you guys been on this property?
About 5 years. The
About
first
five.
year that we were here, I actually was terrified because growing up like I did, I know how to track things and I know what tracks look like, whether they're human or animal. And I
Mm-hmm.
started seeing like these biped tracks in places where it looked like it was padded down to sit. And I thought that somebody was stalking the property to maybe rob us. And at the time, there was just two females here during the day, and my husband worked 12 hours a day. So
Mm-hmm.
I was terrified. I was scared. I mean, we are armed, very well armed. So,
Right.
but I still don't want none. I don't want no problems.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I seen him, it was like this big, just all this pressure off of me, because I'd much rather it be him than a person causing problems.
Well, yeah, sure, absolutely. Now, did you have any experiences, Bigfoot or otherwise, before you came to this property?
I didn't know it, but whenever I was about 10 years old, I was tracking behind a little manatee and I was going on some of the farmers back there's property, and I ran across some footprints that were skunk apes. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. You know,
And
there's
how would you
definitely
identify them as the skunk ape tracks as opposed to, something else?
four-toed, four-toed human-like, but it's four-toed, and they have that one that sticks out. And back then, I was just a kid, and my parents had bought me a book on tracks because I was one of those kids that you couldn't drag me out of the woods. I was constantly in
Mm-hmm.
the woods, so they wanted me to know everything that went on, even the tracks, so that I knew what I was nearby something. And with those particular tracks, I thought maybe it was an ostrich or an emu. You know, I was 10. But
Right.
older, you know, after seeing that, like I know better now. And I remember what the footprints looked like. And I remember a story that a guy had his wife actually told me the story. She lived in a mansion called Terra off of Hobbs Road, out past Mama. And I guess her husband used to go out to the deer stand out there and take his gun. But after he seen a family of skunk apes, they didn't know it was skunk apes at that time. They just as Bigfoots come up that he put a gun down and he started bringing on fruit boxes.
That's interesting.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
I mean, I still thought it was a myth because people make up things, you know, and there were
Mm-hmm.
several people out there that had sightings and had told me about it, and some of them didn't even cross each other's paths. So I would say
Right.
that
So.
yes, there are skunk apes in this area, um, especially going up the Manatee. I believe they're up around the Manatee, but
Mm-hmm.
they're a whole nother type because they're five
And the,
toed. I do have a picture of a print.
so you're describing the print as four-toed, but with kind of the fifth one off to the side, or four toes only.
And no, it was like that, like yeah, like that.
Okay, so four only, but the one off to the side a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
That way.
other
Okay.
digit is like kind of crooked, I think is what she's describing for the pictures I've seen. Is that correct?
Right. So it's
yeah,
more like that,
yeah,
four total instead of all five. And okay. Okay.
yeah. I would
Um,
like to. I chopped it up to be like an emu or an ostrich because people out there at the time had those, and I'd never
sure.
seen their footprints.
Sure. No, and they're big too. I mean, that makes sense. So your first realization that your first real encounter was with that juvenile just hanging out off your porch.
Yeah, that's whenever everything just epiphany. Just whoop,
That was the old man moment.
yeah, wow, just
Well, can you describe a little bit more in detail if you can remember what that one looked like just kind of paint a
oh
picture
yeah.
for us.
I can't forget them. I won't forget them, and they come around. I believe they come around seasonally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he had like a grayish, real light grayish white skin, black eyes. His hair was black, and I mean black as night. Because a lot of times whenever they walk by and it'll be pitch black outside, you can still see them. You can still see like
Mm-hmm.
their shadow. Um, the daddy looked the same. I mean, I just call him daddy because he's a big, huge male, and
Sure.
that's what I assume is they're a family. Um, Now, one of them, I don't know if it was a female or male, but I, I, s- I assume it's a female, was really tall and lanky. And she's red, like a pine forest. Like she would blend into a pine forest so well because she's just tall, about 8 foot tall, and real like thin, but not unhealthy thin. Just real
Mm-hmm.
built that way, tall and lanky. The little girl was built more sturdy like the father, but she was red. And they had peach skin, like their skin's peach, but I hadn't been close enough to them to see their eyeballs.
Okay.
I did see the males though, and both of them had nocturnal eyes.
So you've seen all four individuals
Hmm.
like separately, not just kind of hiding out. Okay, cool. And you said seasonally. When are they usually around? Like tell me how that happens and how you know when they're in the area.
Um, I'll see them come around. I don't think that they know that I know, but they'll be walking by and there's street lights on the other street back behind us, and
Hmm.
I'll see it blotch out. And whenever they go across the yard, I can see the shadow. And the other night, I heard one run across the yard, and it was dum, 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 and it was gone. I mean, it was just so fast. And there's nothing out here that can do that. Nothing at all. I've never seen a bear in this area. And they don't run like that. It was biped. It was dum, 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 dum,
Hmm.
dum.
Do
But
they
my
tend to mess with anything around on your property at all?
one time, I believe it was a juvenile stole a goat. Um, and then he tried to break into the chicken coops. You could tell that it was him because it was a top, and you have to have fingers to do what he did.
Hmm.
And that's what blew my nephew's mind because he's like, he didn't really believe me. And I tell everybody that comes here, especially if they're here at night, because I'm like, just be careful, mind your manners with them. If you run across them, they ain't gonna hurt you. Just behave, mind your manners. They'll be all right. Because it can happen.
Sure, sure,
There's a
sure.
And
couple of questions for you. Number one, Amy's asking, do you ever smell anything when they're around?
my old roommate, she had her window open, and she said it smelled like a zoo. And I
A
got like a
zoo.
hay,
Okay.
yeah, I got like a hay horsey, like a barn smell one time. Not dirty, just like a barn.
Right, like an animal, kind of a gamey smell. If you guys are
Yeah,
just used to being around animals, I mean, there's a sense,
yeah, it
especially
kind of
like you're
smells like.
talking goats or whatnot. I don't know
Then
if y'all saw that, but I just poured my drink all down the front of me.
then Brian's asking you, have you tried to communicate or gift them anything, food or any
No,
presents?
no, no. He came up to my window, and he used to come up to my window quite often, and he would like that, and he'd call Boogie. And this is funny. Um, he travels up the ditch to get up here, and then he would do that. So now I named him Ditch after Ding Dong Ditch.
Huh.
I
Interesting.
have my pet names for them. The daddy I call Tank, the mama I call Pine, and the little girl I call Strawberry, which also has a fun. There's a funny story with that one too. There's a strawberry field behind me, and the back corner of the field is backed up to the woods, and they were wondering if there's pigs getting into their field because something was tearing it up. And a couple days later, I seen her standing out there just like this. So I named her Strawberry. I'm like, yeah, buddy, it's her little booty getting into the strawberry.
Oh, you said they came around seasonally. Like, are you talking? Do they come in the spring, summer, fall? When do they start showing themselves?
Never really know.
They're around now, so through the winter
Yeah.
area. Okay.
Mm.
And you said you know when they're around because you just start kind of seeing signs of them, or you just start seeing them like at night walking around.
Yeah, you see signs of them. You get glimpses of them if you're paying attention. And you gotta pay attention,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't force it. Um, you get that feeling that that unusual apex predator feeling like there's something around.
Sure.
and I know. But yeah,
Have have
I gotta finish that one guy's question. I won't communicate with them because I'm handicapped, and they are a wild people. And it was a juvenile, and I don't know if he would watch his strength with me because I don't have no disc in my back. And all he has to do is one little wrong move, and I can die. So now, if I was young and healthy, I would have done running. I would have done run the woods with him. I would have.
sure. Is that the only two times that you've seen them come right up to the house like that when when the big one was looking through the window and then the juvenile was right by your porch?
No, you see them peeping. They like to watch people. You see them peeping every once in a while. If they see that you can see them, they'll back off and go somewhere else. And they my daughter told me that she thought it was ghosts because we do have some activity here, and she said that something kept tapping on her window, and now I know what it was.
Mm-hmm. So you just catch them like just peeking in and watching you every now and then.
Yeah.
What windows would they normally be peeking through?
The bedroom window because I have TV too. Um, maybe the bedroom windows and every once in a while the kitchen window
Okay.
and the back sliding glass door. They hide behind the tiki shed because it's real dark back there, and I won't see them,
Mm-hmm.
but I can hear them.
Is it back
Especially,
behind like a shed?
yeah, my porch goes out, and then there's like a little tiki hut, and then
Uh-huh.
behind that is real dark, and I don't really see them, but I can hear them. And there was one time I went back there, and oh gosh, that one scared me a little bit. And I started calling my dogs, and I got a little mean because I was tired of them. I wanted them to come inside. And I was like, come on, and he growled at me. And I just shut the door and I sat down. Because my manners, you can have my dogs. But really, they just like playing with the dogs. The bigger dogs now, they don't really go outside around them, but my smaller dogs do.
Okay. Okay. So Brian is just looking for some more clarification. How long, you said you've been on the property for 5 years, so how long has the activity been going on? And
The
does it
whole
change with the
time,
seasons? So the whole
yeah,
time you've been there?
yes. But
Okay.
I didn't realize it for the first year. For the first year, I didn't know what was going on. I thought that somebody was stalking the property. I
Okay.
didn't
So
know
you were seeing
that
signs of something, but it was a
yeah.
year until you got your visual.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And then Brian, she had said that they're around seasonally. So for part of the year, they're not there and you don't have any activity, don't have any signs. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then you said they're in there now. So do they show up like around Halloween or Thanksgiving, or when do they normally start coming
I
back
just
around?
I just noticed that whenever it starts getting a little chilly, and for Florida, that's later in the fall.
Okay. And then about how long do they stick around for?
Till about spring.
Spring. Okay. So right when the heat starts to ramp up again.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think they go back into a swamp. I mean, that's an assumption, but I've looked at the map, and I think they travel the river like a highway, and they go back into the swamp.
And what river right there is by your property?
I forgot the name of it, but I do know that it runs up and it goes into like Blackwater Creek, and it crosses over into the Green Swamp.
Okay.
Because
So
I'm in well, see,
okay.
Plant City, big city. I'm in the Plant City area and the Green Swamps in the Lakeland area, and
Yep.
I think they travel the creeks and the rivers and stuff to get back over to the Green Swamp over there.
Sure. Amy wanted to know if you ever felt threatened by them. I know you told us they growled at you that one time when you were hollering at the dogs. Have you ever felt threatened by
I
them besides that?
I wouldn't say threatened. It was more like your mama yelling at you. You go sit down and mind your manners. That's how I felt like.
Like, hey, you're being too loud. Leave us alone, kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, like I got him. Don't worry about him. You know. Now he did come up to my wall over here because I'm in my office, but right next to my
Hmm.
office is my bedroom, and my bed's like right in the middle of it, and he came up and just he was mad. He was upset. He wasn't mad. He was upset because I wouldn't come out. Um, and whatever with them. And there's this real big roar that they do, and I'm talking about it rattles your gizzard. I mean, it rattles. It's a weird feeling too whenever it's vibrating through your whole body. And I just lay down on the bed like, oh God, it's weird. Anybody that says that, I know that they've experienced them because there's no other feeling.
Yeah, you can feel that, like you said, internally. It's not just the sound. It's like
Yeah,
people liken it's like if you're at the zoo and you hear a tiger yowling or you hear a lion roar, you can feel
yeah,
that vibration literally inside of you.
it's like that, only more.
Right, right. Like being right next to that bass speaker at the concert. Awesome.
Rattle.
So, so many questions I want to ask you. Um, so normally I wouldn't ask a question like this during an interview or when I'm talking to a witness because it'd be considered leading the leading question. And when we're interviewing somebody, we want to stay away from leading questions, right? We don't want to necessarily say, "Hey, did this very specific thing happen to you?" Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be they're going to tell you what you want to hear, right, Grizz? Like you, with your
Yeah, I'm
background,
very
you understand
transparent.
how that works, right?
Yeah, I ain't gonna tell you what you want to hear. I'm
Right.
very
Well,
transparent.
yep. One of the things I'm doing when I'm bringing on witnesses on the show itself that I've never talked to you, I've never heard your story before, just a little bit of what you told me. I haven't given you the questions and intentionally, right?
Right.
But
You're just
there's
curious
some
about everybody else.
mhm. There's some common behaviors that I want to ask you about. So, and like I said, normally I wouldn't go through it, but this is more for an audience thing, so we can get some discussion going with it. Have they ever come up to the camper or your mobile home there and just slap the heck out of it and just come up and slap it?
No.
Okay, okay. Now that
The
is
only
a
thing
common. Go ahead.
the only thing that they have done is come up to the window and just
Tap
two
on the
little thump thumps.
windows.
Just two little thump thumps. And now because I live in a marsh area and it's a
Uh huh.
flood zone, my home sits really high up, and
Right.
so to reach like up here, well, like right here on the window, you'd have to be at least 5, 6 foot tall, and they're like up here. And I think he was trying to get my attention, because there were several days like he roared that one day, he tapped,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard nails like cat nails on my screen. I think he picked up
Mm-hmm.
my cat and put it up there, like, hey, I got your kitty, come out and play. I mean, because he is a juvenile, and children do stuff like that.
Sure. Sure. Have you heard anything on your roof at all?
No, only
No.
cats in the
Okay.
bathroom.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking those is it is known behavior with individual groups. It doesn't happen everywhere, and not every time they're around a house. But sometimes they will come up and just try and startle you, like slapping the side of your house just to kind of get a response, is what we think it is. Or you can hear them going across your roof, especially juveniles that'll like if you have a tree by the property and they can get up there. Two common behaviors when they're around the house like that. So I wanted to see if that was happening to you at all.
Um,
Um,
it's too big to get up there. And we just got our roof fixed. For a couple of years there, a hurricane came. Oh, actually, I got you this story.
hmm
Well, actually, it's experience with me because it ain't no story. A hurricane came through, and we have a blue eucalyptus tree in the backyard, and one of those limbs that snapped off and put a hole through our roof. So we battled with that for a while.
hmm
But when that came through, we were without lights for about 5 or 6 days, and
hmm
I had to open up the house, um, just so we can breathe because it gets real, real muggy and humid and can't
Oh yeah.
breathe. Um, Everybody in the house was sleeping. You got me and my husband. I had two kids in the living room, and I think two people in the back. And we had pots and pans that had different things in them in the kitchen because we were cooking on our grill. And something, somebody was out there stirring around, messing around with the pots. We kept hearing clink, 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 like somebody was looking through them. And then the next day, whenever we all got up, we were asking questions about who that was. It was nobody in the house. Nobody,
Interesting.
everybody was. They woke up to it. They heard it, but they thought it was somebody else, like somebody else in the house.
Sure.
So I'm
Were the
pretty
pots
sure.
and pans in the house?
Yeah, he came in the house in my kitchen.
Wow.
I know it wasn't his daddy because his daddy's too big. He ain't getting in his house.
Right, right. Well, one of the things that I look at as a researcher is the difference between what we know and what we assume. What we know in that instance, we know something was messing around with your pots and pans. What we don't know is exactly what it was, right? So
Yeah,
could it
yeah. I
have been
assume it was
could it have
him.
been a possum or a raccoon or something like that?
Because it was too steady. I had a few pots over here, and on my island there was a few pots over here, and it was like a clink, 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 like a person did it, clink, 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 you know. And ain't no
Gotcha.
human, human it would have been.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. See, and those are the kind of questions that we look for. And those are the kind of details that I look for when I'm taking reports, right? Because they help kind of clarify things and kind of, paint a bigger picture for me. Brian
Right.
wants to know, have you ever had anything thrown at your house, like rocks or pine cones or branches that you know of?
No, no,
Okay.
they're pretty gentle. Now whenever I did see the tall winky one, um, she was standing in the back of the field over here, and my neighbors are they're more the indigenous type of Mexican people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they were working in their field right by their house, and there was no way of missing her. So I think that they communicate with them.
Okay.
I
So it
think,
sounds like
but
you got a really polite family on your property. They're not
yeah,
messing with
they
you. They're
really
not
are.
trying to scare you.
That's
That's
pretty
a
cool.
pretty awesome experience. That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned other stuff happening on your property. Well, we do all kinds of stuff. We don't just talk Bigfoot. We talk all kinds of paranormal
I
and
know that's
stuff
what
going
I'm
on.
saying. I love it. That's
What
nice.
other stuff do you have going on there?
Oh God Almighty! I seen a little girl. We went to leave. Everybody was gone. My kids. My daughter has two sons, and they're blonde hair and blue eyed. And we were leaving out the house, and she was already gone with the boys. And I look up and I see this blonde hair, blue eyed youngin about their age, and I'm like, bye bye, baby, I'll see you later, thinking it was them. My husband looked at me and he's like, are you crazy? What, who the hell are you waving at? And I'm like, the kids. The kids are right over. He's like, no, they're not. They left with your mama. You're crazy, aren't you? And I'm like, oh Jesus. And, I mean, I've always been able to see them. I've always been
Okay.
able to see them since I was like, I remember my first thing at like 2 years old.
Well, we're going to bounce back to your Bigfoot again. Amy had a question that she wanted to ask you real quick. Besides the roar that you heard that one night, do you hear them making other sounds like chattering or talking to each other or making calls and whatnot? There you go.
Like that. Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
she
don't
did
hear it like
not.
that. They don't hear it
You
like
hear
that,
something
but
similar like that?
they'll chatter some, and they'll mock the coyotes. And I think because I'll hear one animal over here and I'll hear one animal over here, but it's not quite sounding just right. Because I mean, I've been in the
Mm-hmm.
woods all my life, and it sounds a little tiny bit off, but they're good. They're really good. But I think they communicate like that, like to let people like let each other know that what's going on. Like there's nobody come on. And I heard them last night or the other night when the one ran through here. I heard one out that way, and it was a chatter.
Nice. There you go, Grizz. You got some chatter going on.
Interesting. Now they're asking you, do you see UFOs, orbs, or anything like that?
Not here, but I have.
Interesting. What was that? Amy, shut the front door. You never heard samurai chatter? Come on. That's the
Oh,
best way
that's
to
funny because I do call them forest ninjas.
See?
Samurai.
See? I mean, what do you think? I'm just cracking jokes? No. I'm just
Nope.
letting her know that something that resonates with her. With her. I can't
Mm-hmm.
even talk. I'm so excited. Because nobody has ever said they heard a skunk ape talk like that. I've never heard anybody.
These are not skunk apes. They're five-toed.
They're what?
They're five-toed. They're not four-toed.
Okay. I stand corrected. All right, then. I'm still excited. I never heard anybody before that they heard that.
Now, they're the reason why, with all the different descriptions that I hear, I just know that region to region that they're different. And these look very ape-like, and the ones I'm dealing with, yes, they're very sweet. They're nice. The skunk apes are more orangutan-like, and these are more like gorilla, chimp, human-like, because they don't got the muzzle like an ape. They're more, but they got a little bit more than us.
Okay. Have you? We keep getting back to the Bigfoot thing. Everybody's excited about the Bigfoot stuff, which is great.
Cool.
I'm very curious. Have you seen any other entities? We saw the blonde-haired kid. Any other entities? Like, have you ever seen a dogman on the property, or a pale crawler, or anything you couldn't even really name? Anything at all like that?
I've seen a couple of these creatures that kind of remind me of Tales from the Crypt, the Crypt Keeper. They were really emaciated and yeah, they were emaciated and skeleton, like skin looking and grayish skin and
Tell us about that sighting. Give us the story on that one.
That one was that one was so different because I've seen these things all my life. I've seen different demons and ghosts and stuff. That was so different because whenever I came out my bedroom door, it was on my back porch, and it was squat down by my grill, and it had to be pretty tall because my grill stands about that tall. So it was, squat down by it, and this burst of light just went poof, and it all boogied. And then I looked it up later on, and I found out that's my chi. So I guess it which I don't know how to control that. I don't know nothing about it. I just found out what it was. And I guess it scared me so bad that I popped. Like, boom. I don't even know how to describe that. Just a burst of light went. That was it.
And then it scared off and it took off running, or what did it do?
After that, I just went that way, just ignored it, because that's the way I was brought up to. Don't give them any attention,
Okay.
And whenever I came back, it was gone because I was doing something, getting something for my daughter, and coming right back. And maybe a couple months after that, I seen another one, but it was a little bit smaller, and it was wearing like this poncho thing. That one only had like maybe briefs on or something, but the other one was wearing like a poncho thing, and it was more towards the back. And shortly after I seen the juvenile Bigfoot, I seen a tree spirit. Some people call them fays, some people call them dryads, and it had well, the next day I'd seen the wood elf that protects it, so I know it was a dryad. There's a lot of
Now I
crazy
know
stuff
why
that
you
happens
think
there.
you have a portal nearby.
Thank you. Yes,
That's
a portal
that's
here
what I was
somewhere.
getting to.
There's a lot of activity. I mean, a lot.
But you don't get like orbs or lights or anything around the property, you're saying?
I mean, I don't go outside a whole lot because of my
Right.
condition. Mainly just sitting on the porch watching. You know,
Right.
I haven't seen no orbs. I see streaks, like that's
Right.
about all I see.
Okay. Wow, you've got a lot of stuff going on there. I'm going through my files trying to find what you described.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
guess.
clothed, emaciated, and I'm
Yeah,
trying to put a
maybe.
name to it. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I've
yeah,
never seen anything
that's
before.
yeah. Roger, Amanda said she hasn't seen anything like that. I was checking, no dog man or goat man or any other like animal creature at all.
Yeah,
Which just surprised me because I was expecting a couple of different critters to pop up there.
no, the only
Rebecca wants
different
to
breeding
know
ones.
what color was the skin on that emaciated thing.
Dead. It was like a grayish white, like not quite as dark gray as this the Bigfoot, but it had that hint, that hue of grayish, I guess grayish bluish, like light, just ugly
Okay,
thing. I never want to see that one again.
like dead flesh, basically.
Yeah, they look dead.
Okay, Pamela, that is an awesome question. Have you heard any metal sounds that wouldn't make sense, like a metal door or a metal gate slamming or grating like machinery or anything like that that would be out of place out there?
No, because stuff like that wouldn't be out of place out here. I got a like a pasture out front where they raise beef cows, and back behind me I got them that one of the neighbors' welds, and they have a big field right here. I got tractors, and you know,
Okay. Excellent question. That was one I didn't think of. That's a good one. I
well,
know that sounds like a really off the wall question, but there have been reports of hearing those kinds of sounds out in the woods area in areas that have a lot of different activity. People don't know what it is. They haven't been able to even really put a theory out there yet. But the sounds of like metal clanging or gears grinding or different things like that have been heard in conjunction with sightings of strange animals and different activity. It's kind of a newer thing that's cropping up in people's stories. Not necessarily newer, but a detail that most people don't talk about. So we're starting to kind of realize that there is this other element going on there that we're picking up at certain times.
well,
Um,
everybody I know that is an empath and has gifts like me have noticed
hmm
that there's been a huge uptick in this kind of stuff. You know,
hmm
they
Yeah,
don't
and
say
that's
how
the common consensus of anybody that has, any type of telepathy or empathy or anything like that. Thomas, we don't know. We just know that it's definitely an interesting thing that's propping up. The people that I know that have claimed to have seen portals opening and closing and stuff, they're silent. There's really not a sound to them, especially not a metal sound. But that is one thing that people have discussed. Maybe it has something to do with that. We just don't have any report of seeing a portal and that sound in conjunction. Rebecca, a rake, you said. I was kind of thinking that, but I have never heard a rake described that way before. Um, they usually have a
that
pretty consistent description, but
rakes
that's not
have like
it.
longer appendages, and um these things they had a full face. They had eyes, like the eyes were like white. Um, they had little sprigs of hair. They really looked a lot like the Crypt Keeper. I mean, that's the closest thing that I could come up with. But they weren't quite so degraded. They were just emaciated.
hmm Thomas, you said you've heard of some. Do you mean this creature, or do you mean the gates, the metal sound? Thomas said he had heard about something like this before.
Does he know anything about it?
That's why I'm trying to get him to see if he'll post for us.
That's cool.
Have you ever
That's cool.
talked to the people on that property prior to you that maybe lived there before, or some of the old timers in the area, if they've had any similar things?
Um,
Okay,
I would love to be able to talk to my neighbors over here, but they are indigenous Mexican and they don't speak much English at all.
sure. Yeah, that could be hard. Florida hosts a lot of migrant workers and stuff, and especially in areas where there's more agriculture going on. I'm more on the coast, so we don't have as much ag over here.
Now, when he did steal my goat, um, we had him in this pen. It was all wood, and we hadn't built the gate on it yet. It was just all wood, and I could hear it from outside, and somebody stepped on the side, and I heard the crick, like, you know, one of the boards, and you'd have to reach over and reach, under and pick him up to get him out, and it happened so quick. Like I just didn't think that it was a human did it.
hmm
I mean, by that time, I was starting to figure out there's something up. But it was a little bit before I seen him, and he ran this way. It was before they put up my fence, and he ran this way, back behind my neighbor's house. And the next day, I came out and I was looking for my goat, and I heard him whinnying back in the woods back there. And my neighbor came out. He was probably like 20 feet away from the gate, and he kneeled down and he was petting his dog, and he's like, "No, please, no, please." Like that's all he could say. And I'm like, he's, you know, something's up. He's really telling me, no, please don't go back there and get your goat. There's something up. And I did figure
Sure.
it out. I figured it out eventually.
But did you get the goat back? Was the goat okay?
Nope. It was Sasquatch
Oh,
noise.
oh, okay. So
um,
there has been some stuff going on. You're holding out on me here.
I figured he's precious. He's worth a goat.
Sure. Yeah, Pamela, you're right. This is one of Martin's parts of his story. I've heard a few other ones as well. Martin, I'm trying to get him to come on the show. He's a buddy of mine. We want to talk about his experiences and stuff. And he can tell us more about that sound and what it was. Roger wants to know, have they ever left anything for you, like as a gift? Have they left anything on your porch or on a vehicle or anything at all like that?
Mhm. At least not that
Okay.
I know of.
Right, right. Interesting. You've got a very nice, quiet clan there. I'm actually kind of surprised that they let you know that they're there just because of how mellow they are. And that's, usually when they're that mellow, you don't know they're there. You can barely
I
see them. You
wonder.
get glimpses of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Usually
I
when
wonder.
you have the close encounters, they tend to be a little more, I don't want to say aggressive, maybe more annoying. You know what I mean? Like because they a lot of times they tend to play pranks. They like to do
Yeah.
different things. They'll leave dead animals on your porch. All this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's
And it
actually.
wouldn't surprise me in the next few years if you start having a little more of the hijinks kicking up as the youngins get older. As the youngins get older, it wouldn't surprise me if you had a little more hijinks happening.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well,
I mean,
and the thing is you
right now I got about 70 chickens, so if they want to help themselves to a few eggs, I don't mind.
I
see,
have a
and you got
question
the.
for you.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Uh, does your light at any time in your residence flicker?
Yeah,
At any time in your residence, do you smell any odd or strange smells?
yes, actually, that there's an old man ghost here and that little girl that I've seen, and it has I've smelt smoke, so I think that they might have died in a fire. Is what I
Or
think.
down when okay, that I was about to ask you, is it fire smoke or cigarette smoke or now next
Like
question.
it was
Do
kind of like
you
a
do you
electrical
see
fire.
shadows during the day?
Sometimes.
Have you laid something down to go to retrieve it and it's not there? Only reason I'm asking, I'm all this information is coming to me, so I'm just asking.
It trips me out because there's so many different types of critters that are going on here. And my ex-roommate, she came out of the back room and she's seen a little gnome type man. And I know they're house gnomes. And we keep having like my niece is staying with me now, and she likes to have a couple beers at night before she goes to bed, just a couple. And she sets her beer down and it disappears. It's gone. And she knows where she
What's
sets
the deal
it.
about a remote? Is it a TV remote? What's this about a TV remote?
What about you, remote?
Does something happens to a TV remote?
Mm-mm.
Nothing at all misplaced, being moved, or anything like that.
No, they're always misplaced and being moved, but we
I'm
can't
just
tell
asking.
them.
I'm this stuff's coming to me. I have no idea what it means. I'm just telling you. So it just I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
you got a lot of activity going on. I know that.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy that was staying here that these things didn't like too much, and in the kitchen, I have it's like a spiky thing that you put dishes on to let them dry. And we had
Mm-hmm.
that sitting in the back of the cupboard with a coffee cup on it, and it's in the back of the cupboard. And they opened that cupboard, and that thing come flying and curved right towards his head, and he just barely missed it. And, and I've had them pull the blankets up like right here, and it's almost like they were tucking me in, but it kind of choked me and scared me a little bit. And I seen something that looked like a spiky shadow demon thing standing over here. Now that one made me mad because he woke me up, and I sat up and said some mean things to him.
Have you ever said stuff out of nowhere and it didn't make any sense?
Me?
Yes. Like you said something, you're like, why did I just say that?
I wouldn't think nothing of it if I did, because I'm very blunt. I'm just very blunt.
I don't know. Is it? I was just weird. I don't know, Susan. It just everything just came at me at once. I just had to say it. So
I would absolutely love for somebody to come visit, and like if you have gifts, especially because I do have gifts, and that's one of the things that people talk about, my friends and stuff. They're like, you're a beacon, they're following you. I'm like, no, this place is just really it's alive. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There's fae, there's these mean demon looking ones, there's the ghost, and they all have different energy, so that they're different. I can tell them apart because of that energy that they put off.
right,
And then we have a living, breathing creature that most people don't know nothing about. And the dryad, which I just call a tree spirit, but that's what she is. And that's another fae, though.
Tell me about this giant.
The giant.
Yeah.
What do you know about a giant?
Didn't you just say that it was a giant? The tree spirit was a giant.
Oh no, she's about 8 to 9 foot tall.
Okay.
I mean, the daddy Sasquatch is huge. Oh
Right.
my god. During the
Okay.
hurricane, um, the moon was out pretty good, and my shed sits over here, and he took up most of the shed. Like, he is so big, and it's just amazing that something so big gets around so quietly, and
Hmm.
nobody sees him. It blows my mind.
Well, we got lots of questions coming at you now. Kath was wondering any experiences with body paralysis or sleep paralysis or anything like that.
I don't know because I have seizures.
Okay. Okay. And then Brian was just asking. I had it in my head and I totally forgot it. Or I'm sorry, Pamela. Pamela was asking, do you have any Indian mounds right in your area there? Oh.
I believe that this is ancient ground.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure of it. I grew
But
up on ancient ground.
do you know of any specific like Indian mounds or preserves right there in your area? Any Seminole property right there?
I believe it was Tiana.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, she keeps referring to her gifts and her empathy and her ability to see things. So definitely what you're talking about there.
Yeah,
Amy
but
wants. Oh, go ahead.
even though I have those gifts, the other people here have experienced things too.
Right.
I'm not the only one. I just
Yep.
happen to see more.
Right. But other people without, professing gifts or anything are also having experiences. And that's basically what Amy is asking. When you have friends over, do everything just keeps happening as normal? Does it calm down? Is it, if somebody's there for 3 or 4 days and they start noticing things or like,
Yeah,
how does that work?
it still happens. It don't matter. Excuse me.
What about with the Bigfoot? Same thing, or do they make themselves scarce
No,
if you have somebody there?
no. 4th of July, I had a whole bunch of people here, and pretty much everybody that I loved because it was my birthday. And
Oh, okay.
and we had a big old fire out back, and everybody left fire. They came inside, or they were in different areas. My mom walked back there, and she came back whiter than a ghost, telling me, "Thank you so much, Amanda, for letting me know about them. Because had you not, I probably would have had a heart attack and died."
I
Oh, so
would
she saw
too.
one too. Yeah.
She
Even
saw
if you
it.
let me know.
She saw it scoot across. She saw it scoot across the ditch, and she said it scared her because it was like dum, 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 real heavy.
What do you mean it scooted across the ditch?
I guess it was hiding behind my chicken coop, and it seen her coming, and it just went right across the ditch.
Wow. Wow. Man, thanks for coming on, Amanda. I'm so glad that we connected and I got a hold of you. I can already hear Grizz's mind going on who else do we need to get Amanda to talk to about some of this other stuff. So some people that are more in tune with some of the other stuff you're experiencing. I just want to say thanks for coming on. I know you were a little nervous about it. You did great. Thanks for letting us in. We still got people asking questions. They really want to know with you
I
what's
knew
going
this
on.
question was going to be asked right
Enjoyed y'all's
here.
Yeah.
company. I really enjoyed y'all's company because
So,
y'all are very natural, and I like that. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
hey,
it.
we're just honest people, just trying to, put your story out there because it's a place for people to come to tell their, encounters and get it off their chest. But they do want to know because we notice a trend with people's blood types. You know your blood type?
A positive.
Okay, because they want to know if you are RH factor plus or negative. So, but they're very impressed with you and they're thankful that you came on. And absolutely.
Yes.
If they want to know any more, I'm Melungeon. My family's Melungeon.
There you
Um,
go.
so I do got some roots. I mean,
That'd be a whole another show right there for the Melungeons. That's one I've been kicking around the idea of talking about.
really?
Yeah, yeah. My family comes from up Kentucky way. My fiance's up from Kentucky. She's got the Melungeon knot on the back of her
Yeah.
head.
Yeah, it kind of
Yep.
feels like a dirty one.
And I've got family pictures from way back in the day, and on the back of them, it describes them as being Black Dutch. And Black Dutch is another phrase some people use for Melungeons. So
Yeah, that makes
uh,
sense.
there's potentially some in my family line as well. So that'd be a whole nother thing to discuss is the Melungeon mystery. Oh, that'd be
I
fun.
kind of think I know what's going on with it. I think I know because for one, whenever humans cross each other's paths, they are going to procreate.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, there was a whole lot of people hiding from a whole lot of people,
Oh
and
yeah,
they were hiding up
absolutely,
in the mountains, and there was a whole lot of
absolutely.
people escaping.
Like I said, it's a whole other ball of yarn for a whole another show. We don't want to get into that now because it's pretty much time for us to wrap it up here. We've been on going for an hour strong,
Oh wow!
and
Well,
everybody's
thank
still
you.
asking questions on everything. Um, Tell us how they can get a hold of you, Amanda. If they want to talk to you, ask you questions, give you a rundown, how can they get a hold of you?
Jesus.
So all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is ask for Jesus. Direct line.
I mean, I guess they can write me on Facebook. My last name's French.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So Amanda French, look her up. And then yeah, I'm gonna keep in touch with you. I want to know as stuff happens, and I know people up in your area, and we'll talk to them and we'll see what we can work out. Maybe somebody come and check out your property, maybe do some investigating, and we'll see what we can do. And we'll just kind of take it from there. Do what?
Is that nice? We can have a bonfire.
Yeah. The people I'm thinking of would absolutely love that. They'd love to kick back, and I'm one of them because I ain't that far away either.
That's nice. I love it.
Well, thank you, Amanda. Right. It's been a pleasure. And from coast to coast, around the world, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. We'll catch you on the next show. Good night, everybody.
We'll see you guys.